And someone else is being unleashed too. Just out of hibernation, a young bear can't resist the aroma of fresh carrion. But when rituals fail, violence is inevitable. Hungry bears are violent bears.
So, I wanted to make a video about can your investments buy your freedom? Paying off debt so you don't have to work. And most definitely the answer is yes. End the video. You can stop it here. You can watch it a little bit more if you want to see me actually like work as a timber products quality assurance agent, aka I scrape bark off of trees for my night job. Um, so with that being said, what you're seeing there is that I'm just kind of work to, in a sense, quote unquote, buy back my freedom. Because that's what happens once we get into adulthood or later on in life. Essentially, we're just trying to, fund our retirement so that we can actually, quote unquote, have our freedom back. Not that we ever lost it in a sense. We're free to do whatever we please. But, brainwashing will do things to you and make you think that you have to do something or to have to do things a certain way. Um, when you're looking at things like, or when you're looking at things with a different lens, different viewpoint, perspective, you start to see that, you're a slave to your debt, you're a slave to the things that you have, you're a slave even to the water company, you know, just making sure that you have enough money to pay them every month so you can have water. A lot of people escape it in many ways, or in many ways, shape, and form, where they live with little to no uh, overhead or expenses. I kind of want to get to that, but at the same time, I do like living in a home. I do like internet, computers, things like that, or at least that's what the brainwashing is telling me that I like. But uh, being a slave to debt, though, is just uh, it's just something that I don't want to do. So recently I've made a move where because this night job is going fairly well, I'm doing okay. There hasn't been any serious problems. I did have one hiccup recently where I just like woke up late for a meeting, sadly, but that was like the first one in the 2 weeks that I've been working the job, so hopefully that'll be okay. But so far so good. I'm liking in terms of the hours and everything. It's quick and easy, or it's easy money pretty much. It's not There's not much to it. So we'll see if it works out, and then I can work with this for another couple months to even a year until I get a job in my profession as a night job, or build up my freelance portfolio and build up my freelance business. Just working at a lot of these things at the same time, and that's kind of the reason for the obfuscate streams is to help get me out there a little bit more, and then get back into coding and stuff like that. But we often are like the gladiator, or I forgot the guy's name, but we're often like the main character in the movie Gladiator. I think his name is Marcus Aurelius or something like that. And he's trying to buy back his freedom. He has to, in a sense, or he has to fight to get back his freedom. And as you can see, Grizzly in his natural habitat, scraping bark off of trees. Um, as you can see in this video, I'm working in a sense fighting to get back my own freedom. So as I said, I made a move where I sold quite a bit of my crypto. Um, the YOLO move, pretty much I called an end to it. It did very well. I was able to buy more Ethereum and other coins, and even with this market low, I am still positive on it. So that's good. What the plan is to actually um, cash out, pay off the credit card debt that I have, or the small bit of credit card debt that I have. Um, Sorry, for like the active stuff, I should say. And then there's some of the bigger bills that I'll just keep on the books, but it's little to no interest on those. And one, of course, is the car payment. So I will be getting rid of all that. But what I'm going to be doing is most of the money that's coming from this night job goes right into the market. Essentially, what I'm going to be doing is saving off to pay off my truck, but instead of putting it in a savings account and just letting it sit, I'm actually just going to put it right into the market and, play the market in that case and gamble the money and see what happens with it. The YOLO move has proved, and that's kind of one of the reasons for the YOLO move, is it was a bit of a study for me to see how, borrowed money would do in the market, or how well I would do in terms of my decisions. I made a couple moves. I made a couple mistakes. I learned from some things. Yes, I could have, sold at a high, but I was looking at my debt and I was just like, okay, do I want to work this night job for 3 months so I could pay off this debt? Or do I want to just pay this debt off now and build back my position over the next 3 months? It won't even take that long to build a position back because at this point, in terms of extra money, I'm making, in terms of just like monthly excess disposable income, I have about $2,500 in disposable income between the night job and my day job. So I should be able to get my position back. I sold about like $5,600 or so in crypto. So I'll be able to get that amount back in about 2 months or so, and actually change the way I do some of my tracking because I also saw some mistakes in some of my tracking as well. The numbers bore out, but I could have done a couple other things better, and I could have made some other moves better as well. I'll have to deal with taxes on the profits and everything else like that, but I should be okay, especially with the night job income. I can cover any tax expenses or anything like that. Anyways, with all that being said, I'm doing these things to quote unquote buy back my freedom. Had a great conversation with my coworker the other day, and shout out to V. And he and I were talking, and he was talking about, okay, well, why don't you just, would it be better just to make, payments, or sorry, make small investments, or would it be better to get a lump sum of money and put it into it? And we went on back and forth and everything else like that, and then I brought it back to, okay, well, if I made the small payments on, um say, my auto loan, but then what if I just took what if I had the money and I just took it and went ahead and cleared the whole thing off? And we talked about freedom in terms of, okay, he has to go to work to pay his expenses, I have to go to work to pay my expenses, my living costs and things like that. And I said, what if you had enough money to where you didn't have to do that? And then he kind of like, it was like an aha moment for him. I forgot the exact context of the whole conversation, but for both of us, it was just like, or like we both got on the same page there. And he was like, I see what you're saying in terms of paying off the debt sooner than later, even with a lower interest rate. Yeah, that's what it was. If I'm making a higher return on investment or a higher percentage return on investment with cryptocurrencies, why not just keep the money in there and make the payments? And I said, well, with the payments, if I get rid of the payments, then I'm not beholden to that payment anymore. Therefore, I can actually take that time back, as Edward Anderson always talks about, is time freedom. A lot of people don't understand that we don't have that time freedom we don't have that time freedom anymore, or we get caught into these traps where we don't have this time freedom. So we talked about it a little bit more, and it was a good conversation. But then that really weighed heavily on my mind as I'm working, like, a 10-hour night shift, and you just have time to think. I don't watch much content. I don't take my whole shift and watch a lot of content. Like, I just don't want to be content. I don't want to be consumed by content, and I've kind of pulled away from the space in one way, shape, or form in terms of the video and the content I listen to in the groups that I'm in. But I thought about it and I said, you know what? It's at a low right now. I'm still in the green on these coins. Uh, I think I can get back in sooner than later. And reestablish a position and get back to where I was and even have a stronger position over time. And I said, you know what? I would feel a lot better emotionally, mentally, and all that. I would feel a lot better if I paid off this debt. Also, what I can actually do is parlay that into other things. So with paying off the debt, then I can get higher credit limits and things like that, and maybe even take out loans or something like that, just for investments. Yes, it put me back almost in the same position that I was before, but at the same time, if I can use that money or use any type of money that I get in terms of just cash and actually put it into investments where I'm making a higher percentage rate of return or higher return on investment than the rate of interest that it costs to borrow the money, then I'm better off. But that is what they call using leverage, and that is very dangerous. So with that and everything else, I can actually just chill, work the two jobs, build my freelance business, and do a couple other things to actually make money and slowly build the investments over time. Which I think I'll be doing that instead. I really don't feel like taking out more loans anymore. I just deal with the cards that I have right now and start actually doing things to fund and buy equipment for a lawn care business. And but it's all equipment that I would use around the house anyway. So even if I don't do the business, I still have the lawn care equipment that I can use to take care of my own property. So these are kind of things that I've been thinking about and looking at. And the Gladiator movie, and buying back your freedom is just such a that is such a heavy piece of that movie, or that is such a huge part of that movie, where you're looking at somebody's literally trying to buy back their freedom, and you know, the I think the Caesar or the leader at the time represented, in a sense, your oppressors, if you will, or kind of really the mental oppressor that you have, because you don't really have to do any of this stuff, and you can find ways to quote unquote escape. Also look up the if you want to give up your U.S. citizenship, you actually have to pay like an exit tax, which is kind of crazy. I saw that with the guy that started Bitcoin Cash. I think something Roger Veal or something like that. And with him, he actually had to pay an exit tax for all his wealth and everything like that, and saying that he got rid of his U. I think it's renouncing your U.S. citizenship. So it's like kind of crazy that we have to, in a sense, buy our freedom just so we can move or be a citizen of another country or another land, and then we also have to buy into that area as well, which I do understand. Taxes are for a reason, and I don't look at taxes really badly. It just sucks that it's taking out so much money, but that just entices me to make more money. And if you look at the U.S. economy or the U.S. Uh, economic system, it's really there to actually make you and push you to keep making money. So it's kind of crazy. It's something that Meet Kevin actually said in a podcast with Graham Stephan, where all these taxes and other things actually make it to where you have to accumulate wealth over time. And if you don't look at it that way, or if you look at it that way, you start to see how there's ways that you can actually improve your position overall. Anyways, it's a loose bit of thoughts there, and wanted to talk about that. At the end of the day, uh, I recorded myself working, trying to quote unquote buy my freedom back, and I'm doing things to quote unquote buy my freedom back, put myself in a better position, have investments that will actually make me money over time, so that I can actually put myself in a, I could put myself, or sorry, I can have. More time in a sense to do the things that I want, and having more money to do the things that I want, even with this a different type of working environment or work schedule. Doing more freelance work, maybe cutting lawns, and getting money a different way, as opposed to the usual clock in from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and having your hour lunch break and all this other stuff. It's like, well, what if I just don't feel like working today and I'll work later on tonight? Do I have that option? Can you do that in your life? And that's kind of the freedom that we're talking about, or that's the kind of freedom that I'm talking about, and where other people in the fire movement and other movements, where they're talking about retiring early and stuff like that, and reaching some type of financial independence. This is what they're talking about, is actually having the ability to say, hey, not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe not. And that's kind of the importance of all the things that we're doing in terms of looking at investments, uh, you know, seeing the best way to invest our money now so that it can pay off for us later. Timber Week. And I actually might come through with a couple articles about pecan trees, because I have to do my research on that and talk with other people. So, with all that being said, listen, if you're not taking what I say with a grain of salt, you're low on sodium. I know that's, I know sodium is not the greatest thing, but at the same time, don't trust what I say. Verify all the information. I think the Army has, trust, but always verify. Find a way to research and debunk what I'm saying, and go ahead and put that information in the comment section below. As always, guys, thanks a lot for listening. Really do appreciate you. Peace.